Welcome to Trading Lounge and the daily US stocks for Monday, September the 19th. I think one of our best shorting opportunities that we have is in the banks, and obviously if the banks are going to go down, there's going to be other markets going to go down as well, so there's opportunity all over the place. But when I talk about opportunity, I'm talking about one with reasonable amount of confidence and enough evidence to take up short positions and hold those short positions for a long time. So we'll be getting to that in the banks. I'm pretty excited about that, and I'll be taking on that trade myself. When it comes to analysis with the indices and also a lot of stocks as well, there's two things that I'm seeing. We were looking at this particular chart here for the NASDAQ last time we spoke, and it might have been in the indices, I think, or it might have been in the stocks, I can't recall, but you've probably seen it in one of them on the Friday. The thing is that I can count down as 1 and 2 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, and ABC for the fourth, and then we can look at all of this as the fifth wave down through to here for wave 1. That could take us quite high back up here for wave 2. There was a lot of volume that came in on the S&P on the Friday. Look, it probably came in on other markets as well, but you can see here we got that nice, strong volume in here. It might have been caused partly by the gap, but the market closed up higher off the low at the end of the session. So we need to, take that on board a little bit. So coming back to here, we've either got two things that can occur in the markets. We can either just come back to this here. We have this down as wave 1 here and 2 here, then down for wave 1 over here, and then back for wave 2 here and move down. Or we're going to have a higher rally that could take us as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave to the upside, and then down at that point. Now obviously I know that from that low here that's pegged that high here, and this block here is really going to be the resistance. So I got a feeling we're not going to get back up that high, but I think that we could get up into this particular space here. These are the two things. So that's just a little bit of food for thought in all of this. And it won't be the case for all stocks. Some, because some stocks will rally higher, some will be, hard to get out of the mud, so to speak, and some will be in the middle. But these are the two things that I see across the markets. Alrighty. Now coming over to the stocks, we're looking at Apple here. We're still looking for more downside to come here for this market as well. Now we may not get this move up to the top here because it's there's a good case for wave B being over here for this as well. It would give this a bit of a different spin here. When I put this wave B here, it will just give this a different spin down here, but what I mean by that is that we would end up let's just clean this up for a little moment. It would be more likely that we do come down here and then we have some sort of rally here and then we come down again at that point. It'll be something like, it'll be more like that. So that's what. But in the meantime, we're just sort of focused on moving down here. Now we know that from the high to the low to the high here, we're at the 50-60% sitting in here. We're at a very large number, the 150, which is a medium level. It has got history here, and it will have it again over here, and we can see that. And once again, we can see the daily volume here coming off the off that low, pegging it here. So, we're expecting it to be here for a little while, and there's nothing sort of new about that. But we need to do our best to be able to count that the best we can. It can get a bit choppy at that point, and this is where we come into this situation here that just getting this here. I wouldn't worry about this B wave here too much, but we're still in this trend to the downside, and I don't think that it's finished. The two things that can occur though is that we can put wave 1 here, as I mentioned before, or we could put wave 1 over here for that. That's the two things that we can look at in that regard, but we'll also be looking at wave 1 and wave 2 here, of course. So it's going to get a bit bouncy, but you can see that these lows here, that's where it's going to be sort of pegged to at this point. Even though it had a lot of volume, it didn't rally that far. That's on 1,000 ticks. Let's go to 100 ticks and just investigate that a little bit further. How much do we need in here? Is 5 enough? 5 is plenty. So, you know, I mean, if you're short up here, then the idea is really just to accommodate the bounce here. So we can look at it as wave 1 and 2 here, then 1, 2 and 1, 2. It doesn't finish off that well, so I've got wave 3 here and wave 4 here, and then down for wave 5 here. So I've got a couple of different things here. Yeah, I mean, if I took the 61, I mean, if I look at the extreme of it, which is always a good place to start. If I looked at the extreme of it, this is where it would come back to here, and we'll need to look at all of this as wave 1 at this point. But I'm not really getting that, so I don't want to freak anybody out. But, you know, you've got to kind of look at, you know, if you're going short, you want to be having a look at all the possible long trade, all the possible, you know, upside in the market, you know, and if you're and vice versa. So yeah, so I count down here. I think the best count here is having wave 1 and 2 here, then 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave here, and ABC for the fourth, and down for the fifth here to get wave 3 here, and then wave 4, and then down for wave 5. So we'll be able to put wave 3 down here at this point. Now this is a little bit out of sync with the rest of the markets in a way, you know, with the banks and so on, you know. So the banks are still going through its wave 2 here, for instance, you know. So that's why I've got this wave 2 here. So, you know, if I see, I can't seem to get 5 waves down here, but I know that the banks are down for 1, back for 2, down for 1, down onto this, it's 46.50, onto this wave 1 here, and the banks are coming back for a wave 2 here, with this little ABC. So that's, I'm just going to keep that in the background. So it could come back here for this. Normally, if the markets come down, you know, it's kind of sunk into the 150. It's not like it's bounced directly off it. So it's sort of in the mud, so to speak. So it can climb higher here, and we can look at this as a, you know, as a little ABC to the upside. So we've got 5 waves here. Nice ABC here. Then we could look at this as 1 and 2 here, probably 1 and 2 here as well, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So maybe the 3rd, 4th, and 5th to come up here. So we can have it as a wave 4, or we're going to be seeing it come up a little bit higher here for wave C of 2. But like I said, as a wave 1 and 2 here would be in line with the banks, but it's a little bit difficult for me to count 5 waves down here for this. Whichever way I look at it, there's kind of, you know, I could go 1, 2 here and you know, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, fourth wave here and jam it in, but this is a little bit high on this one. So none of the boxes get fully ticked, so to speak, in all of this. So I just think that let's just see how it goes, you know. I mean, I think there's a little bit of upside to come in the beginning session, then I think it's going to fade at that point, but we're still to the downside. Alrighty, so it's a lot to take in, all of that. So some markets are easy, some markets are a little bit more difficult. So NVIDIA here, you see all this overlapping wave structure here? So we really need to treat this as being sort of corrective. So I think the best shot here is to continue looking at it as wave 1, and then go for an A and a B and a C for the B wave, and then look for 5 waves up here. So we're going to see this climb a little bit higher in terms of 1 and 2 here, and then we've got 1 and 2 here, we've got 1, 2, 3. So there's still this to go here. So we're going to go up here a bit, come back a bit, hit that 3 there, and then the 4 over here, and then the 5. So it's going to soak up a bit of the session before it rolls over again. So yeah, it's 60% is up this high here, but yeah, let's just see how that climbs up here. You could probably expect it just above the 55 area through here. So I don't know if you want to hold on to these particular trades here, but the whole trend is definitely to the downside. That's why I mentioned that any trades that you're doing in this, you know, in the markets at the moment, they need to be small positions. So we need to get through these rallies. So Amazon here, once again, we can see that it's creeping up here, and the first thing that I can see is that it needs to go up further here. So we've got an A wave and a B wave. I could put wave 1 over here as well for that, not that it matters, but we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go to get to the third wave here, and then the fourth wave, and then the fifth wave here. Now, when I'm counting this one here too, it looks like I could count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2 here, then 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 here for the third wave, and come back for the fourth wave at the 38.2% retracement level here, just in here. But if that goes too high, comes up into the box, then I just naturally have to go for that 1 and 2 again, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And if it's not the case there, then I would need to go all the way over here for this 1 and 2 and call in this wave 1 down here. You know, it was a bit difficult to see in all of this here, and we could look at this as a fourth wave and a fifth wave here, but none of it counts very well at all, I have to say. You know, that's the thing with it. So I think the banks are our sort of guiding light on all of this, but the main point is that we can expect a rally and then the trend to resume to the downside. And with meta platforms here as well, there's probably different ways to count this. I've got this as 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2 here, and then looking down at this as 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, or 1, 2, 3. It's still a bit short here as well. That's why I've got two little counts here. One can take me to this previous high here, then hit 43, then go for a bounce. The other one is go back to the 150 and then move down at that point. So yeah, there's a few different ways to count this, but the main point is that you can expect the market to come back. That's the main block, so that's where you can expect it to come back to before it drops down further. Alrighty, for Netflix, I've had to just rearrange this a little bit, so it's a little bit complicated, but looking down for the A wave here, and we could also look at this as wave 1, but it's pretty wild. An A wave, a B wave, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So expecting a little bit more of a high here, as we're expecting those little moves up that we just had a look at in those wave 2 rallies. In this case, we've got 1 and 2 here, nice third wave, fourth wave. So we've got 1, 2 here, and we've got 3, 4, 5. So there could be 2 more little moves to the upside here before this rolls over. So we can have a look for a short trade here on Tuesday for this. Yeah, so that's got a little bit more of a squeeze to go before rolling over. And Enphase here, just to keep it simple, if this top here is taken out, then we're going to be looking at a larger rally to the upside here, because as I mentioned before, this wave 5 here, it's okay when I look at with the level, you know, it's all kind of good, the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, but when I compare it to this wave 1 here, then it's still too small. And yeah, so when we have a look at this on the 100 ticks, I have done a little bit of labeling on it, so I don't know if it's correct, but here we can look at this as the A wave, the B wave and the C wave making a new low here, so that's all good. We could look at this here as wave 1 and 2 and all the way up for 3, 4 and 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the A, the B and the C here for this. We could probably squeeze 5 waves out of this, so it needs to take out that top there to be able to go long. But if I was trading that, I would just take a small position there, and then I would also be looking to build in on top of 30 here, because I'd want that number there to become the tested support, because I know that if that becomes the tested support with a classic trading levels pattern where we have the arrival at the 30, the reaction, the first high above the level, and get the support over here, then I know if we get support here, we're going to be leaving this number, at least for the short term anyway, and then we could be looking at the first high above the level. So technically we can have wave 5 here, or we can have wave 5 further up here for this, and this would just make this here as wave 1 here in blue, wave 2 for blue, so it would still need 3, 4 and 5 to get this wave 5 here. So this move here would be 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5 just to get the third wave up here. So we could be going up a fair way here with all of this, probably even get up here somewhere. So it's kind of a worthy sort of risk, if you will. So yeah, let's just see if that takes out the top there for that. And then Tesla. So with Tesla here, you know, I've got this, I've got 3 waves down here for this. You know, it could be down for 1, back for 2, down for 1, back for 2, but you know, we've been looking at this on 1,000 ticks as well, so making a new high here. So I think we're sort of something like this here, really. So the A wave, the B wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for this. So I mean, it could be a bullish move as well with this market here, because I know I can look at this as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, then wave 1 and 2. But I can't go there just yet because the rest of the market's quite bearish. And yeah, I mean, it's you know, this is part of the, you know, the new world, you know. So perhaps it could go further up, but I would need to get, if I was going to turn bullish on this, I would need to label that wave 1 here and 2 here and 3 here and 4 here and then wave 5 here. I'd need to see a 5 wave structure here, and then we'd get a pullback in 3 waves, and then we could go up at that point. But I'd even those 3 waves there, I'd still want to get them and go along above the B wave. Yes, we can get in a bit earlier, but we're not there yet, so we just got to be a little bit careful about that one. Certainly not looking for the short on that one. Google here. So with Google here, this one's a little bit clearer, where we've got wave 1 and 2 here and 3 and 4 and 5 here, and then the ABC for 2, and then we could look at the, well, this is where you know the spike gets a little bit thing, but maybe I need to take the spike on as wave 1 here and 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, and 5 down through to here with this drop here. But yeah, there's all problems with this as well. You know, we could look at all of this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, but we've got overlap here. So, but at the same time, you know, you can see that there's an issue here, but at the same time, maybe we could squeeze this up into here and go 3, 4, 5 into this space here and put this over here as wave 1 over here, and then look at wave 2 coming back here, and then look at this as 1 here and 2, and I don't know, even that gives you over. Whichever way I go, I'm sort of, you know, damned if I do, damned if I don't, you know what I mean? So I know that Elliott folks will be sort of going, well, Pete, that doesn't work, you know. But at the same time, I know that we're in a little A, B and C here, so we're going to be going up here further for that. It is possible, plausible, but not probable that we'll go back up into this space up here if I looked at all of this as wave 1 down here for this, you know. Which is probably doable, but we'll just see. You know, we don't need to go there yet, but we'll just plonk that there for a moment. Does put pressure on this particular trade here for this, so I'll leave that for you to decide. Also too, once this trend line here is breached, you can also look to go short on that. In fact, what I'll do on that is I'll just put it in green. But, you know, you have to understand, coming down into 100 here, 1 being the strongest number, it's going to get a little bit bouncy down in here for this, you know. This block here is a lot of resistance here, you know, all through here. So that's a lot of resistance in that space there. So, yeah, I just sort of hold short and wouldn't get too particular about it at this stage. I mean, especially if you don't have leverage, you know, too much. If it's just a margin account, that's fine. Microsoft. So yeah, the same thing here. We can look at this as wave 1 and 2 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for wave 1 and 2. Or we could look at all of this as wave 1 here. This is a pretty weak stock, so I don't think it's got much legs. The worst that it could do is go back to here, and that's, you know, that would be so far in this case here, would have to look at this in some kind of, like A wave, B wave, and C wave. I don't even know if it's got the time to do that, but there will be some sort of, you know, because none of this trend has really been corrected at this point either for this. So we may or may not get a retest all the way back to the 250 on this. So tomorrow we'll get, I'll see how it goes today in the next session, and then we'll see how we can look to short this as well. But there will be a bit more of a rally for this. So yeah. Alrighty, so Berkshire Hathaway here. Now this is another stock that we could look at the bottom here as blue wave 1 and going back for blue wave 2. It probably won't go that far back, but it will come back to the 280 at tops, back to say 280, 282 or something at tops, or we could count this down as 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 to come back to this space here. There's a very good case for this blue wave 1 and blue wave 2 here, I have to say, for this market. So because I got this little leg in here for this, so that sort of throws it up a little bit in the air. So yeah, this can be blue wave 1 and blue wave 2. So we'll just give it a session. We'll see what it looks like. We can expect the session to have a bit of a rally, but at the same time too, this, when we see this rally, that if it comes in on the Monday session, let's just see how much volume comes in, because when we had a look at the S&P here, for example, we see this much volume coming in. Let's see if we get less volume coming in here, and we'll see what the structure looks like at that point. Don't worry about the count on that either just yet. Rightio, so moving along. So block. So we got a very clear count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and then we look for an ABC back in to the box here. So that was all good. Look to have a short here, may have ended up being down here. Now we're going to get another bounce here that can take us back to the 68 at this point. Okay, so it'll probably cover that gap. So I won't put it at the 70. I'll just put it there, 69. So we can go back to the 69. Not that it's got a history of covering its gap, so you don't have to rely on that. You know, in some cases it hasn't done it here. It probably won't do it here as well. It's more likely to stick around the 65 here. So yeah, so 66, 50, 67, 20 and 68 will be the resistance in that little area through there. And over to the banks. So the thing with the banks is that from the top we can count 5 waves down, and you can see quite clearly here that this is an ABC correction here. Now it hasn't pulled back up to its 50-60%, but I think Goldman's has in that particular instance. So it's pretty highly likely at this stage that we're going to be looking at this, another leg coming in here from here. So this leg here will be reflected over here for this. So basically down to $20 over here, or $18 I reckon, something of that nature. So that's the short trade. And I like it a lot because it's setting up, because we can identify 5 waves coming down, and for wave 1 and then back for wave 2. Then we've got wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 in here. So this is going to drop, but we're only in the first wave at this point, right? So we still got to get through wave 2 over here. We need to navigate that, and then down into wave 3, 4 and 5. So wave 3 will be the longest in all of this. And once this, you know, it will come down, bounce off the old lows, we'll need to navigate that. And then when this comes down here, and this, once it lets go of the 30, it will drop pretty quickly to the next level. There'll be resistance at the 35, the 25. But yeah, nothing's ever in a straight line. But yeah, I mean, the options folks should enjoy this. Let's go in and have a look. We're on 10 ticks, so let's check on that. So in a bit of a nutshell, let's just get in a bit more data here. So we were looking at this as an A wave and a B wave, and we also had wave 2 as an alternative count. So basically what we're doing now is we're going down for wave 3 here. Right, and in wave 3 we've got we're going into the 3rd wave now, and there'll be the 4th and the 5th here. So, and then in this case here we've got we've had a very clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, a little bit dodgy in here, but overall okay. And we could plant that a different way. I could put wave 1 here, for example, and look at this as an A and a B and then a C wave coming up here. I could go that way with it. I don't think it matters too much at this particular point. I've gone with this particular count because it was sort of the consensus of most other markets in that regard. But as you can see, whichever way you want to look at it, we've got wave 2 up here, we've got wave 2 here, and now we're going back for wave 2 here. So that means that we can short it in this box. So I'm going to turn that box green. And like I said, none of these trades need to be large. And then we can also look to add to positions under here as well. So with this one here, we could look at this as the A wave here, the B wave to here or to here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to end up in the 34 area, above 34. Yeah, so there's still further upside to go here. There might be 2 more little new highs here, so you'll just need to ride that out. But like I said, if the trades are really small, it doesn't really matter. And then we're looking for the sharp drop, you know, the sharp drop from the top. And then when that goes back up there, you can short the move back up, or you can short it under that as well, for that matter. So yeah, just building in at the right, building a story, building a case, you know, for the downside, rather than putting it all in on the turn and then sweating it out, you know. And if it doesn't go back up there and it drops down through here, well, then you'll capture it under here. Yeah, so I mean, all sorts of things can happen, you know, so you need to be a little bit careful about everything. I mean, that could be the top just there as well. You know, that could be you know, the A, the B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right on that little top there. So there's a couple of different ways to look at all that. But if it goes up into here, get a very small position. It didn't close the gap up here, so you don't have to worry too much about that gap. It's just really about shorting the downside and keeping the stop out of the way for that. And Goldman's is the same as well. So from the top here, we're looking down as the A wave, the ABC back here, and then down for 1 and back for 2, and then continuing down here. So we can pretty much come down to 200 pretty much at this point, I'd imagine. There'll be a few hiccups along the way. We'll also need to bring wave 1 down here as well. So we can look at this here as being a little wave 1 in here, little wave 2 here, and then we're in the 3rd, shaping up for the 3rd, 4th and 5th coming in here for that. We'll get that bounce off the low there. We also need to navigate through the 300 there as well for that. So just going into the 10-tick chart, just to go back a little bit, and I'll just go to the go back to this chart here. I mean, the good thing about this, you know, is that with the banks is that it's pretty clear that we've got 3 waves up here. We don't have 5 waves. So that means at some point we'll be taking the low out here. And because we got 5 here, that means that, you know, getting another 5 over here is highly likely to give it into a 3rd wave at that point, you know. So that's the sort of beauty of all of this, really. It's just setting itself up so nicely. So once again, we've got wave 2 up here. We've got wave 1 here for this. And wave 2 that you may have shorted it in the box, and we'll bring these stops down once we got this wave 2 in, but we're not going to do that yet. We're just hanging out for that. We've also got here a reasonably nice impulse wave to the downside and then a corrective wave to the upside. We could probably bring that up to here. So yeah, I mean, you could bring that box down further if you wanted to at that point as well. You know, will it go up here and cover the gap? Well, like I said, it did do it over here. Will it do it here? Look, anything is possible, but you know, I could also probably see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. We may have a top just in here as well. So yeah, there's a few things that's going on. It might hold up a little bit, you know, beginning of the session. If it looks weak in the second half of the session, well, then you'll know what to do at that point. You'll just need to bring that further down at that point, you know. I'll leave that to you. And it's the same with Morgan's as well. So we've got wave 2 up here with wave 1, 2, 1, 2. So we can turn this box green as well. You know, this does create it does create the same sort of perspective for the S&P 500 now as well, by the way. So looking at you know, it'll be slightly different, but where we had this as a B wave up here, we need to look at that a little bit differently now. So yeah, look, the safe trade is under here for that, of course, because that would make that 3 waves. It certainly looks like a B wave in here, very complicated. We can bring that up under the 1650. That's what that is, because this is group 2 here. And look, based on the rest of the markets, we should push up higher, but you know, the banks can kind of do their own thing as well. But all these positions should be, you know, they all should be reasonably small, that you can accommodate these type of swings in here for this. And we'll move this stop down once we've got this high in here as well. And you also need to kind of consider building in, you know, further positions with all of this. I don't know how you want to go with all of this, but you know, if you're going to get into a trend, you want to get into it at the beginning of the trend, don't you? So yeah, I mean, if this is gapping here in these, then it's going to be gapping over here for this, you know. So smaller positions often, rather than one big position, you know, on a gap, and then trying to get, you know, back in and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, alrighty, I'll leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.